Hi everybody, it's me, Miss Rose. So today we're going to work on a lesson from Open Up Resources called Areas of Partitioned Rectangles. Let's read the directions. It says for each rectangle, write expressions for the length and width and 2 expressions for the total area. Record them in the table. If you have a chance, check your expressions in each row with your group and discuss any disagreement. So this activity goes with checkpoint 2, day 3. So below we have a table and we have A and B. This table is for rectangle A and B. For A and B, they would like the width, the length. The area is a product of the width times length, or just length times width, and the area as a sum of the areas of the other smaller rectangles. So we're going to look at rectangle A first, and it is asking for the width. For this lesson, our width for each rectangle will be from the left to the right, and our length will be from the top to the bottom. So for our first problem, the length is 3, and our width is A plus 5. If I multiply them together, 3 times A will give me 3A, and 3 times 5, well, of course, is 15. So I'm going to save and close my diagram and input my information into my table below. So my width is going to be A plus 5. Let's make that a little bit bigger. And my length is going to be 3. My area as a product or of the width times the length, or simply said length times width, is going to be 3 times, we're going to use parentheses, A plus 5. Okay, we're multiplying again the length and the width. Okay. So next we have the area as a sum of the areas of the smaller rectangles. So that is our answers for our area for each rectangle we have above. So we had one big rectangle that we split into 2 rectangles. So we should have 2 areas. Our first area is 3A, and our second area is 15. So my final answer is 3A plus 15. Got it? Let's go to B. B says 1/3 is our length and 6 and X are our width. So let's fill in our rectangle first. We're going to fill in for our length 1/3, and we're going to fill in for our width 6 and X. So if we multiply them together, we have 1/3 times 6. And then we have 1/3 times X, which will give us 1/3 X. And perfect. So we replaced our 1/3 and our 6 and our X. And we should have 1/3 times 6 is 1/3 times 6. And we have 1/3 times X, which is 1/3 X. So what we need to do with this 1/3 times 6 is actually multiply it out. So we'll do that since that's the area of our first rectangle. And if we can just do that underneath it, and then I'll make our lives a little bit easier for the problem above. So I'm going to put this in to an equation where I can find a fraction, A over B, and put 1/3, a 3 for the denominator and a 1 for the numerator. Oops. We're going to multiply this out. So equals 1/3, and we're going to use a new equation and find a dot under math operations for multiplication times, and we're going to copy the 1/3, and we're going to replace that with a 6 over 1. And now we're going to multiply across. So I'll paste another fraction bar. I know 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 6 is 6. if I simplify that or divide 6 divided by 3, that will give me 2 for my answer. So what that means is that if I take the area as the sum of the areas of the smaller squares, or sum of our areas in the box, which is 1/3 6 times 6, which we realized equals, let's put that up here just so you get a better understanding, equals 2. So we're just going to put 2 plus 1/3 x. Okay, that is the sum of both of our boxes. You might want to put 1/3 x plus 2 to be more precise. So let's find our width for that problem. Our width is 6 plus x, and our height is just 1/3. And what is our area as a product of our length times width? So what we're going to do is 1/3 times 6 plus x. Close your parentheses. And that's our answer. All right, let's keep going. So we're going to go to our next problem, which is letter C, which is r times 1 plus 1 plus 1. So we're going to fill that in. You may have to stretch out your box and add another line. So let's fill that in. We have an r of a 1. And orange. Plus 1 plus another 1. So if we multiply our r times 1, that's going to give me 1r. And that is actually going to give me a 1r for each box because we're repeating the same operation in each box. So altogether, I have 1r plus 1r plus 1r, which is going to give me 3 r's. So let's record for C. My width is 1 plus 1 plus 1, which altogether will give us 3. And my length is just r, okay? All right. And then if we go to our area as a product, width times length, or length times width, we have r times 1 plus 1 plus 1, or we could just say r times 3. When we write that, we want to write that as 3r. And now we're going to do an area as sum of the areas of the smaller rectangles. So my first rectangular area is 1r. My second rectangle also has an area of 1r. And my third rectangle also has an area of 1r. So if I add them all together, that's going to give me a total of 3 r's. You can always add letters together as long as they're the same. So r's can go with r's, but an r cannot be added to a k. We'll talk more about that as the lessons go on. So our next one is D, and we have 6 times p plus p plus p plus p. So again, we're going to have to stretch our rectangle out and add another line. And then we can clear out our, and we're going to replace our ones with p's. 4 p's to be exact. And a 6. I'm just going to take this guy right here and copy and paste him. Okie dokie. And I love this lesson, actually. It's one of my favorites. So let's multiply each rectangle. We have 4 of them, and we're going to do the first rectangle. 6 times p is p, 6p. Another 6 times p, same thing. Another one, 6p, and another one, 6p. So let's input the data into our table. I know that my width is P plus P plus P plus P, which altogether gives me 4P. And I know that my length is 6. And my area as a product is 6 times 4P. And I know 6 times 4 will give me 24P. Okay. And we're going to add all the areas together for each rectangle to represent this another way. That is 6P plus 6P, whoops, plus 6P plus 6P. Altogether will give me 24P. I hope you understand this. It's a lot of fun. So let's scroll down to the next problem. And we have 2 more, which is E and F. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to fill this in. This will become M times 6 plus 8. All right, so I know M times 6 is going to give me 6M, and 8 times M is going to give me 8M. And if we add them all together, both rectangles, that's going to give me 6M plus 8M, and that gives me 14M. So I added both rectangles together, the areas. My length times my length is M, and my width is 6 plus 8. And we already know that 6 plus 8 equals 14, right? M parentheses 14, which will give us 14M in the correct form. Our length is going to be M, and our width is 6 plus 8, which we all know equals 14. Okay, so I'm going to decrease the size so we can go to the next one. We have B. So B is our final one, so sad. And we have 5 times 3x plus 8. And here's our 3x, our 8. I know 5 times 3 is 15x, and I know 8 times 5 is 40. So we are done. And we're going to put that together. We know our length is 5. Our width is 3x plus 8. And our area as a product of the width times length is going to be 5 parentheses 3x plus 8. And I know that area as a sum of areas, so we're going to add both areas of the rectangle, which is 15x plus 40. And there you go. We're done. I hope you really enjoyed this lesson. It's one of my favorites. Thank you.